So today I'm going to talk to you about Waldorf Education. I have a special place in my heart for Waldorf Education. When I was little, we would go to the open house at the Waldorf school near where I grew up, and there was just something magical about it. They would do storytelling and maypole dances, and they would show the children's work, and I don't know how to explain it, but my mom used to say that if she could afford it, she would have sent us to a Waldorf school. But as it was, she homeschooled us in a very eclectic style, but it was inspired somewhat by Waldorf from going to those open houses. But if I had to send I want to do eclectic homeschooling because if and when I have children, because I want to take all the best pieces from each pedagogy and do something more eclectic. But if I had to send my child to school, I would want to send my child to a Waldorf school. And let's get into why. Waldorf doesn't do academics until 7 years old, which I'm open to doing academics with younger children as long as it's done in a fun, hands-on way. But there's something wonderful about the magic of childhood, and Waldorf has all these beautiful open-ended materials, rainbow blocks, and like blocks in the shape of rainbows, and play silks that are just like scarves that you can do so many different things with, and tree blocks, which are just like chunks of tree trunks. And the beauty of a tree block is that it's loose parts. It's not built to go together, but it does go together with your imagination. And I don't know, the materials, like Waldorf toys, Waldorf dolls, are super simple, and they don't have faces, and they're supposed to be for the imagination of the child. You can imagine any face, any emotion on the doll that you want. So it's not just like, oh, this doll is sleeping, but this doll could be crying, this doll could be laughing, this doll can be anything you want it to be. And there's just something so magical about Waldorf materials at the early childhood education age. And they're very much into like fairies and gnomes and imagination and fantasy, which Montessori is like, no fantasy until 6 because children have trouble pretending and just like understanding what is real and what isn't real. But I think you could say, okay, so we're gonna have, books that are more Montessori approved, that are about real life, but we're still gonna have open-ended pretend play. Like, it doesn't have to be dragons. It can be, pretending day-to-day things that you see in real life. But honestly, I'm okay with kids playing dragons. I think they can get a pretty good handle on what is real and what isn't real. And then Waldorf, when you go beyond early childhood education, it's a lot of storytelling still. Like, they believe in storytelling, not reading. And there's something magical about storytelling. I don't know what it is, but it's one of my favorite things in all of the land. So they're really big into storytelling, and like that's how they will teach, by telling a story about the Romans or something. And they're really big into art. They'll make these beautiful chalk drawings on the chalkboard that are like an introduction to a subject. And they encourage the children to do a lot of art. Even at the younger ages, there's lots of art is a huge thing. And the outdoors is huge. And handwork, like handcrafts, like knitting and crocheting and sewing and carving is big, just like it is in Charlotte Mason. And they also have something called eurythmy, if I'm pronouncing that right, which is like a dancing. It's like their exercise, but it's like this rhythmic dancing thing. I think it sounds cool. And what else is really important about Waldorf education? I think that's basically a summary of it. There's just something so magical about Waldorf. It's my favorite. And they're really into like aesthetics just like Montessori, but the aesthetic is different. Like a lot of people think wooden toys is both Montessori and Waldorf, but it's an oversimplification. There's something just so beautiful about a Waldorf playroom. Like the materials and the play silks and the scarves. You just need to go on Pinterest and search for Waldorf playroom and you'll understand what I'm trying to say, hopefully. But yeah, I think Waldorf is probably my favorite. Even though it's not the one that I align the most with, it just has a special place in my heart.